Yo, what's up, guys? Teacher Paul here, and today we have a coffee request from Aussie Deb. And Aussie Deb says, have a look at this from 12 hours ago. This is Richard Marx giving Paul Stanley from Kiss a gift. It's so wonderful, and I've got tears. Let's check it out, guys.
Well, speaking of singers, I do this thing I wrap up these episodes with a gift. I decided when I started to do these shows, I wanted to give every guest a gift, and I thought, vinyl. Whether you have a record player anymore or whatever.
I do.
Vinyl is still vinyl, So I thought, what am I going to give Paul? I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought, I hope I nailed it. This is going to be obscure to a lot of our viewers.
Is that a John? Oh, it's a John Farnham vinyl.
Wow. John Farnham, unfortunately in America, has never, ever gotten an iota, a fraction of the accolades that he deserves. He's just a mind-boggling singer. You've done shows with him. And in Australia,
Why?
he's
God.
He's God. And
Why, guys? Why? United States could have, found out about this this diamond, the voice, before. I feel like the US is just finding out about John Farnham now. Missed out on a lot of opportunities, I would say.
He's gone through some very horrific times.
Yeah.
And boy, that guy can sing.
But I thought, I know, because we've been talking about him the last, year or so.
Mm-hmm.
When you realized that I had worked with him, or
What
I
a
forget
gift.
how it was that we connected on John Farnham. And when I knew that you really got it, like you appreciate him the way I do, I did this, I think I might have told you this, but in the 90s, I played a couple nights at the Greek Theater. And John came into town for something. And so we were hanging out. We'd already been friendly. We'd written some songs together. And I've always said, for as long as I can remember, to me, Sam Cooke is the greatest singer who ever lived, and John Farnham's the greatest singer alive.
Wow.
Not anymore, obviously, right now, because of some health stuff that he's had. But this is when he was still just like vocally just. So he's in LA. He's going to come to the show at the Greek. And I said, will you get up and do something in my show? And he went, nobody knows me here. And I said, that's why I want you to. So he does this, he wrote this cover, he arranged this cover of Help, Beatles' Help, as a ballad. And it's a staple in his show in Australia for years. And it's so incredible. And the range is mind-blowing. So I taught it to my band, and I played piano, and I brought him out in the middle of my show to an audience packed at the Greek who didn't know who he was, and he got a standing ovation.
Wow.
I've always, and I've told.
Man, oh man. I think and I blame marketing, because everywhere John goes and everywhere he plays his version, his cover of Help, everyone loves it, gives him a standing ovation. It's not a taste thing. It's not, even he just mentioned in the United States, people gave him a standing ovation. So if John had better marketing in the US, which YouTube is doing now for him, I think he would have blown up in the US, because it's a general worldwide consensus that man can sing. And I still don't understand, like, why was it so hard for him to go from Johnny Farnham to The Voice? Why was it so hard for him? People didn't want to have him on the label because, he's Johnny Farnham, Sadie. And he proved time and time again that he is a fantastic vocalist. He is the voice of Australia. And not only that, but he's a great person, and he's a great visionary in music. He should have been as big as these guys in the United States.
I've always, and I've told Evan, who my son, who's a musician and sings,
Who's really talented.
who's very, very talented, and I always say, look at their mouths, look at their tongue placement on certain words. Look on look at where they're placing their voice on different words, and he's one of those examples that you can learn by watching. It's not just a matter of what he's doing, but trying to understand how he does it.
Well, he's a great rock singer with tons of rasp and power, but he's really also an opera singer. He could sing opera easily.
Wow.
And it's so weird you said that, because
And country.
one of the things I've noticed about him, and you singers out there should pay attention to this. If you watch pop and rock singers traditionally, when they're going for a really high note, they go like this with the microphone, or they get under the microphone, they put their head up like this. And it's the exact opposite thing you should do.
Totally.
And when I started to watch John live,
His microphone
he
is
would take
down.
the mic, and when the highest notes, his head would go. He would
Totally. It's like,
like,
yeah, it's this
because
is
it
the
just
last
opens
thing.
it. Because this
Yes.
is just constricting,
Totally.
and his mouth is open really wide, and the power.
That is true.
Everybody I play him for, who's never heard of him, and a lot of people are Americans who've never heard of him, are all completely flabbergasted. So
Yeah, the greats. It's not about. That's not how you
No.
hit high notes. You hit high notes here, and it's voice placement where you have sinuses, you
Yeah.
have hollows here, and that's you sing down to a note. You don't sing up to a note.
And this is a new
That is
pressing they
amazing.
did of this album. This is the album that got me into him,
This was the.
and it was
this
it has
this
your
was
other
the
voice
album.
on it.
Yeah,
and-
you're the voice. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Whispering
crazy.
Jack. Dang. You gotta love Richard Marx for doing that. He gifted Paul Stanley a vinyl of Whispering Jack from John Farnham, which is absolutely a great gift. He gave him gold right there. Love Paul Stanley for, acknowledging John's talent and what he represents to Australia. And something just occurred to me. I always asked, like, why isn't he big in Australia? And why wasn't he big in the United States? And I came to the conclusion, John Farnham is not big in the United States because of his love for Australia. It's as simple as that. He loved Australia so much that he prioritized his own country over worldwide fame. He just stayed in the hometown. He gave it a shot in the United States, but then he's like, he really preferred being home. So he's a family man, and he never pursued that audience in the United States. And he's mentioned that before. He's mentioned that, it's a market that he didn't really give his all to pursue. So his love for Australia, made him who he is in Australia now. At least that's what I came to a conclusion now. And I'm sure that now with YouTube and with everything else that's going on, people are learning about John Farnham and acknowledging that he could have been as great as these two guys who are talking about him, Richard Marx and Paul Stanley. Absolutely. America wanted him to change how he sang his songs, but he didn't want to. Yeah, he mentioned that they made a version of one of his songs, and he said, no, that's not it. So he was true to himself. It cost him fame in the United States, but his loyalty in Australia was the prize out of all of it, which is very noble, and it's very John Farnham to do that. Not opening, not giving in to fame, and you got to respect the man for that. Absolutely amazing. Guys, if you haven't heard John Farnham yet, if you just listened, or heard about him, go listen to his performances, and you will see what we're talking about here. No wonder we all love him. Yeah, it's true. You gotta really deep dive into his story because it's worth it. And if you want to do that with me, we have a series here where it's the history of John Farnham from Sadie to now, which we are going to react to part 39 on the 10th of May, whenever you're watching this. Join us on Twitch if you want to watch it live. It's going to be fun. So that's it. Thank you so much, Aussie Dev, for showing me this. This was really nice. What a heartfelt gift from Richard Marx, and Paul Stanley really appreciated it. And I think all the John Farnhams. The 10th? Did I say 10th? 20th. The 20th of May? Did I say 10th? 20th. The 20th of May. Tomorrow. Join us, guys. Go over to Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to request a video, click over here or click over here to see my John Farnham playlist. Take care. Bye-bye.